Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast. Welcome back to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. It is Friday, September 18th. This is episode 26, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can finally see our faces, which is good or bad, so depending on who you ask. So that is Don Harris. That is Chuck McIntyre.
It's bad without TV makeup and stuff.
We got TV lights, though. Kind of. You know, podcast lights.
Can't be that flattering, I'm sure.
Well, we have video, so big step for the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. And
hats off to Luis.
Yeah, Luis, Yuli, all of them putting all the work in over here.
Awesome.
So very helpful. Now we really can't mess up, guys. So this is number 26, gentlemen. As always, what do you think of when you think of the number 26? Not as good of a number as some of the other ones.
I like your short list that you have here, but
Is there one I'm missing? I'm always missing one.
well, the one that goes for me, and I just had to look it up to make sure, is Darnell Savage with the Packers is 26 because
Packers
he
reference.
he started his career as 21 Savage, and like how could you not keep that for the rest of your playing days since there's already a rapper by the name of 21 Savage, but now he's 26 Savage. So
I think
that's why it's sticking in my head.
We need a Sneakers and Cleats bingo card. And it we need a bingo card, and it's going to have like Chuck mentions the Packers, Matt forgets a number or a player on a
Or
that wore
the
that number,
Broncos.
Says
or
they
says
shot
film,
video
or
film.
said filmed.
Yes.
Don mentions
Somebody you haven't heard of.
Yeah, exactly. So
Who I'm getting ready to do.
That's just the first 5 minutes of every podcast. So.
Until this moment, I've never heard the name Darnell Savage. Never heard of him.
Safety.
But I think Chuck's heard of mine. You will not have.
Oh God.
The first number that popped into my head was the great Preston Pearson,
Nice.
Yep.
Cowboys.
You can check that off the bingo
Mid
card.
70s Cowboys, played with Roger Staubach on those teams. He came in to spare Tony Dorsett when he got tired.
All right. See,
Had a
people
great,
I would never think of.
had a great catch against the Rams in the playoffs that, had there been instant replay, probably would not count today.
Good thing there was an instant replay then.
Yeah.
I put down a short list. I usually I don't think of Adrian Peterson. I just saw that he had worn 26 on the former Redskins, now Commanders.
He's always 28 to me.
Yeah, he's always 28 to me when he's with the Vikings. That's probably who I will say when we get to episode 28 on Friday. Saquon Barkley's a good one. Chase Utley, good one. Wade Boggs, Jimmy Fox, Rod Woodson. A lot of good 26s, but it's not the premier number.
Woodson was the second one that came to mind.
Woodson's a good one. Big show for us today, gentlemen, as we look back on another dominant effort that the Cowboys put forth yesterday afternoon against the Jets. Also talk about them, but we'll sprinkle in a little Roadrunners talk as well. And I have a question about your wives watching games, because my wife really she loves watching football and loves watching it with me. But when it's only my game on, I just need her to shut up. So I need to see how you guys handle this.
That's not a good thing to say.
I didn't say that to her. We'll get to it later.
You may have to edit this show.
Look at how red he's getting right now.
Yes.
I'm always red, guys. Okay?
No, you're turning redder.
Love you, Jordan. The Cowboys are 2-0 for the first time since 2019. Last time the Cowboys won each of their first two games of the season by 20 points or more was 1968.
Wow.
They are the fifth team in the Super Bowl era to score 70 points and allow 10 or fewer in their first two games, prior to the New England Patriots doing it in 2019. Last time that happened was 1970 by the Detroit Lions. So I don't want to talk about the defense right away. I want to talk about the offense. What do you guys dislike from the offensive execution yesterday against the Jets, who presumably had a top 5 defense in the league?
The best thing I heard all day was Dak post-game say, that's not good enough. We want to score touchdowns on every drive. We didn't do what we wanted to do. We settled for field goals. That's what I wanted to hear. Like, there was also this was complimentary football, and the goal is to get a win, and we did that, and we scored on all those drives. But the fact that he was owning that they have a long way to go, because that's what's going to get them in the playoffs, is if they get down there and they need 7 and they get 3. So, but I've been a critic of Dak over the years, and I'll hand this to him. This is the first time in Cowboys history that they've played the first 2 games of the season without a single turnover. So he's not throwing interceptions, and that's a big step forward.
It helps that they played some JV.
except
It
for
helps that they played JV teams, but
Well, the pick 6 yesterday.
Well,
that
that
Sauce
I was
Gardner
going
did.
to mention that here in a
That-
second.
Yeah, that wasn't a JV defense that they played. So to me, I think it's affirmation. The fact that you can win a game where you don't have Brandon Cooks, arguably your number 2 receiver. They worked the tight ends a little more yesterday. I thought that was good. They looked a little more cohesive on offense than they did in the opener. And obviously, I think you can blame some of that on the weather maybe in New York and the fact that it was the season opener. First time that you're really running everything against somebody else's defense. To me, the thing that popped out, you talk about complimentary football, was how the hell do you possess the football for 45 minutes and 15 seconds in a football game?
Yeah.
I mean, that shows the domination. I mean, you get burned on one explosive play, one lapse play. The rest of it was a blueprint for how you kick some other teams behind.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive.
If you in NFL history, I believe the stat was if you hold the ball for 42 minutes or more in NFL history, you're 55-2. So it's pretty good. It's a pretty good recipe, especially when you're getting as many turnovers as you are.
Hats off to Mike McCarthy, man. I mean, he's not in charge of executing down there where Dak missed wide open Ferguson in the end zone or whatever. He's calling the right plays and using the right personnel. I thought it was creative the way they used Deuce Vaughn. I thought that they brought Rico in key moments. They let the big dog eat. They went to CD over and over and over again. I think he had 12
11
catch.
receptions. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you want to get in the hands of your best players. And then when you do spare Pollard, who did the heavy lifting, you bring in the guys and let, swing past the Deuce, put him in space. I thought they did a really good job of doing, play calling.
They ran the ball 44 times. I mean, I think they ran it 33 times the week before, 32 times against the Giants. So, I mean, they're holding the ball, but what really stood out to me was the execution and like getting the play in and how fast they were getting the play in, because you have all this time for Dak to stand at the line and kind of read the defense. Now he's standing on the line with everybody in position with 20 seconds left on the play clock.
Yeah.
There's plenty of time there to figure out, okay, they're running this. They have this guy coming forward. He's blitzing. He's dropping back into coverage. All the things that the quarterback needs to figure out. So that was the thing to me. It's like such a stark contrast to where things are on other teams in the league. The Broncos, for example, can't get a play in to save their lives. But I just think that was the thing that stood out when I was watching. It was how quick McCarthy is getting the plays into Dak, and Dak can now execute and read the defense.
He had a Freudian slip there and said Sean Payton.
Yeah. I have a lot of
Say
things
Sean
going on.
Payton.
I have a lot of things going on in my head
You
about
mean-
the
But you
Broncos
made me
guys.
last Monday.
You mean
and
Nathaniel
last Thursday
Hackett
night.
wasn't to blame for everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple moments in that game too. I know Don and I were watching the game together where I think we said out loud a couple times, this is just one of those plays. It's 4th and short or 3rd and short. They just line up and pound the ball. And it was like, this is McCarthy trying to send an early message that our team is better than your team. And we used, I think, different terminology.
Yeah.
But
Big boys.
It really was big boy football yesterday. And I think some of these moments are going to serve them well going forward. The results speak a lot to where they are as a football team right now, but there are also moments where internally you can see how they're kind of feeling themselves right now.
I was a little surprised at Dak postgame, though, because someone asked him about the interceptions, and it's the first time he's gone back-to-back games without an interception in like a year and a half, 2 years since the 2021 season. He got a little pissy with the media postgame. Just like, he's like, I'm sick of talking about it, interceptions. Like,
Yeah.
But he should have thrown one yesterday. And it wasn't just an interception. That should have been a pick six
It
by
was a
Sauce
bad
Gardner.
ball.
It was a bad ball. It was late on the right side of the field in the flat. It should have been a pick six. And that should have gotten the Jets even closer at that point in the game. I think it was 21-10 at that point.
Well, yeah, at one point, though, he was 13 of 13 completing passes. And then I think they said the goal before the game was to have at least 28 completions. I mean, other than the one, now there were a couple of flawed pass plays, but I mean, it's like looking at Cindy Crawford's face and saying, you got a mole on it. I mean, he was pretty damn good yesterday.
What a reference. What about the red zone?
Matt, have you ever heard of Cindy
Yes,
Crawford?
I have heard of
Okay.
Cindy Crawford.
We're saying Selma Hayek is too short, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, you're not wrong. People are really like, there's an age thing here on your references.
Right,
Here.
I get it.
What about the red zone? They were 2-6 in the red zone when converting into touchdowns. I mean, I think they kicked 5 field goals yesterday. So
No, I mean, any football coach, any quarterback worth their salt is going to say it's unacceptable. You got to get 6 points. You got to get 6 points down there. Now, the silver lining is we didn't think the Cowboys had a kicker. They do. 55-yarder, too. He's 5 for 5.
5 for 5, 55 yards. He's 7 for 7, I think, on the season so far.
Look good, but there's too many frustrating plays down there, whether it be a false start that backs you up from the 10 to the 20, or whether you miss a wide open Jake Ferguson on third down in the back of the end zone. And, look, Dak's always going to have accuracy problems. That's what coach is doing right now, is making him make easier throws. And when he has easy throws, move the football, make it easy for him. But every once in a while, he's going to just miss a guy by 10 yards, throw it over his head. And those are the things that's going to bite you when you play Philly, when you play San Francisco, when you get to the playoffs. And that's, Michael Strahan went off yesterday about the Cowboys being this trendy pick and everything, and saying he's not on the train because he's a Giant, but because he wants to see him prove it first. In big moments, will they, tie game, 2-minute drive, will he execute those throws?
Well, there was a couple of moments yesterday where you could see the Jets getting a little bit of momentum. You get that 68-yarder from Zach Wilson to Garrett Wilson, and gets a little closer, and then that pick six could have changed everything. We don't know. But you see those moments where Dak is almost reverting back to who he was last year and the year before. He's trying to turn a page, and you see him trying to turn the page, but there's moments and glimpses that it gives you pause as a Cowboys fan. Let's get to the Cowboys defense, because good God, they're so good. I wrote down here, I think that we talked about Micah being the best player on the team, or in defensive player in football last week. I think he might be the best player that the Cowboys have had since 1995.
Since Emmett?
Probably, yeah. Since that team with Emmett and Michael and all of them on it, I think he might be the best player. Like, I love DeMarcus Ware, obviously, as a Broncos fan.
No,
I
he's
love
better than
DeMarcus
Marcus Ware.
Yeah, he's better than DeMarcus Ware.
DeMarcus Ware is in Canton, right?
Yeah.
He's going to Canton.
Yeah. I mean, if he keeps on this trajectory, especially after you see what he said yesterday after the game, he's not satisfied with 2 sacks and 4 pressures and a forced fumble. He probably thinks he should have returned that one for a touchdown. And if he didn't get touched on the leg, he would have. I mean, he is just ungodly.
He's shut. The first sack where he stunts inside, I don't know that I've ever seen anybody get there quicker. LT.
That's fair. I mean, we were talking about this too yesterday. I mean, I think if you're a quarterback in the NFL, you have 2.1, 2.2 to get rid of the football. And on that play, that was less than 2 seconds.
Well,
easily.
He's so fast to get around. I mean,
Yeah.
He has to go 3 gaps over when both of your defensive tackles are slanting towards him. Your offensive line basically has to know it's coming to stop that from happening, because he's so fast getting around the defensive tackle and coming through the A gap. It's just, it doesn't make any sense how he's this good.
And for his size, the defensive linemen aren't thinking quick feet. Offensive linemen, the first thing they're thinking of is engaging and stopping his strength. And so, they're like, okay, here he comes. Even if a double team, he'll come through it, because he's strong enough to beat anybody, quick enough to go to the outside. So when you're thinking, I've got to engage him and be more powerful than him, and he okey-dokes you and just goes right by you like, I don't know, Allen Iverson, man. I mean, his first step's ridiculous.
It's just fun to see somebody that good play with that kind of passion, right? That's why he's what he is. I mean, I don't know if anybody loves football more than this guy. Again, we've talked about this before. How do you play like that on the field with this controlled mania, and then you're the sweetest, most thoughtful, guy off the field. It's an interesting duality he's got cooking.
It doesn't even seem like he loves football. He just loves the drive to be the best. He just loves the effort and the work that's put into it, and that's what made Tom Brady so great. Is that it wasn't the football he loved; it was the work, and that's what
he's special.
It seems
man.
like
He's
Michael
really
loves.
special.
On the Cowboys' defense as a whole, 10 points allowed so far this season in the last game. 7 of them on a 68-yard pass that, those things happen. 10 sacks, 7 forced turnovers. 3 interceptions in the second half against Zach Wilson, who isn't an NFL quarterback, and I think I can say that with pretty confidently at this point. What else can be said about this defense?
They're loaded. If you're going to consider Micah Parsons a linebacker, okay, fine. But I see him as a defensive lineman at this point because of the way he rushes. I think they're loaded everywhere but linebacker, and they're not bad at linebacker. But on the back end, they're so good. And the pass rush and the front four and the pass rush is the key to everything. The pressures have been the key to everything. And they stopped the run up there, too. They got some – and they're only going to get better. Mozzie's going to get better, and, they're deep.
They got a lot of dogs.
Yeah.
There was a video going around, and I don't know if the lip reading is right, but it was attributed to J-Ron Curse singling out each one of the guys on the defense before the game, and he basically looked them all in the eye and said, "You are not to be effed with. You are not to be effed with. You are not to be effed," and went right down the line. And I think they played like that. Malik Hooker gets burned on the touchdown and then comes back and makes a pick later in the game. They just got a lot of guys that have a relentless spirit, and then cohesively, the defensive coordinator obviously shares in some of the credit for bonding all these guys together to think like-minded, to play like-minded. And you're not going to find a whole lot of defenses like this that are that fast every single place on the field.
And don't you think that Micah's play elevates everybody else?
Absolutely.
To
Sure.
try to be as good as him.
Well, and Micah, having a great D-line is the best thing for a good defensive backfield. You need pressure on the quarterback, and then it makes it so much easier on Trayvon Diggs to make plays and not get burned because he doesn't have 4 seconds to. They don't have 4 seconds to run a double move against him, so he's going to bite on it every time. But if they don't have the time to run a double move, then he's never going to get beaten.
Great defensive line is great for your whole football team.
Exactly.
Now you're talking about working on short fields for your offense. It's everything starts there.
And the worst thing about the defense is the linebacking core, but they're taking Leighton Vander Esch off the field and using 2 more safeties that they have because of the safety depth. I was wondering why they kept 6 on their depth chart coming into the season. I learned now that they're using it to substitute as third down linebackers so you can get more speed on the field, almost like a dime defense.
This is what I love about Texas high school football. That coaches here have adapted a decade ago to doing that kind of stuff where you're removing a linebacker and having to get more speed on the field to match these spread offenses. And so now the NFL's adapting, and they're trying to find hybrid guys that can play linebacker and safety. It's genius.
It's like Isaiah Simmons.
Adaptation.
It's like people like Isaiah Simmons who can play linebacker or safety, or Jabril Peppers. Like, you're getting weapons on the defense just like you do on the offense. So I don't know what it says, though, about the competition that the Cowboys have faced so far. The Giants might be the worst team in the league, second worst behind the Cardinals.
They had a nice comeback yesterday.
They were down 20 yesterday and came back to win.
The Jets don't have a quarterback. So, they have a JV quarterback who should be a second string.
The Cardinals won't be much of a test.
The Cardinals aren't a test. I think the spread on that game is 13.5 points right now, and that might be light. I don't know what it says. I know you can only play the schedule that's in front of you, but when you play these 3 teams, we thought the Jets would be a competitive game because they had Aaron Rodgers at the beginning of the season. And the Cowboys can't do anything about that. It's not like they probably wish they played Aaron Rodgers at this point. But what are the Cowboys really proving by kicking the crap out of this competition that they're playing?
Dude, this is the NFL. You take every win you can get and don't worry about the Niners the week of the Niners game.
Right.
But right now, be 4-0, walk over the cupcakes. You're Texas A&M. You're going to take the Louisiana Monroe's wins whenever you can get them because Tennessee and Alabama's coming.
Yeah, and a month ago we weren't talking about the Giants being crappy or the Jets being crappy.
Yeah.
And especially have to, win a division game on the road. So, I can guarantee you this, whatever the Cardinals look like right now, they may or may, I shouldn't use them as an example. Those first 2 teams, the Giants and the Jets, are going to look completely different by the end of the year. I would think they're going to get better as the year goes along. I can't speak to the Cardinals because I'm not really sure what's going on there.
They're openly tanking.
They're tanking.
Yes.
They're openly
right,
tanking.
right in the middle of the season. Again, a lot has yet to be. The story has yet to be told. But I mean, if you're going to go out and win an NFL football game the way that the Cowboys do, I don't care who you're playing. It's impressive.
Take the wins.
Right now, do you think that the Cowboys are the best team in football?
Man, I hate to make predictions or assumptions.
Just right now.
2 weeks in.
Right now, 2 weeks in.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
No, I think the Niners are.
Really?
Yeah, I think we're going to find out in week 5.
I think the Cowboys are the best team in football.
Best defense. I'll give them the best defense.
They're definitely the best defense.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, so the worst way to lose a football game as a fan. There's always that debate. Like, would you rather get blown out by 50 or would you rather lose a close game? I don't think there's a worse way to lose a game than the Broncos did yesterday. That you're up 21-3. You end up going down 35-24. You're like, all right, cool, the game's over. You score on the Hail Mary to make it 33-35, and then you don't get the 2-point conversion, which means that you
on
lose
a no call.
on a crappy call. So, as a fan, which way would you rather go? Would you rather lose by 50 or lose like that?
Lose by 50 because then in the third quarter you can turn it off.
Yeah. As a football fan, I don't know. I think either way is tough. I always think back to, some of the Packer losses that are just gut-wrenching. I mean, they've lost playoff games on walk-off fashion. They've lost playoff games where they never touched the ball on offense. They've lost playoff games where they had a 3-score lead with under 5 minutes left to go. I mean, those are tough. And I mean, those are the ones that, even to this day, you'll see it pop up on YouTube, hey, rewatch this. I still can't go back and watch those games. And you'd think you'd be over some of them since they're as old as they are.
They've won playoff games where Des Bryant caught it and got robbed.
Yes, I've always maintained too.
Did he catch it?
The NFL deprived us of watching Aaron Rodgers go right down the field and win a football game.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And Dez will die on that hill too. That he caught that
Yeah,
ball.
I mean, it
He
looked like a
certainly
catch
caught
to
it.
everybody but the league.
That's fair. But that goes to what
The worst way to lose a game ever was the only time it's ever happened. And that was in college football when Baylor had the ball and the lead on the last snap of the game. Should be victory formation, take a knee, sayonara. But Kevin Steele, who's been a defensive coordinator in the NFL since, was the head coach at Baylor. Didn't last because in his infinite wisdom, he decided, we're on the UNLV 3. I want to send a message to my team that we're going to finish the game. And he decides to run a dive play to try to score another touchdown, even though he had the lead and the ball with 2 seconds to go.
That's
Coughs it up, 99 the other way, lose the game.
or the Alabama and Auburn, the kick six. The kick six is a bad one. The Miracle in the Meadowlands was the Jets in
That was
Eagles.
Giants Eagles.
Giants Eagles, right?
Herm
I just remember it
Edwards
was
on the
Herm.
return.
Yeah.
I got
Joe
one for you.
Pisarcik handing off to Larry Zonka.
Lose the Dez game like they did, and then have to go in the locker room and get Dez, but you blow it and you don't get Dez. Then what?
Is that what happened?
That did happen to me. And I had to beg Dez at the end of it to please talk again because he stopped in front of the locker room. And by the time he stopped in front of this small doorway at Lambeau Field, the cameras were already 25 deep. And so I made the decision to go get Jerry first, thinking, well, he'll tell you like it is. And of course, Jerry was the ultimate sportsman after that game, didn't say anything inflammatory towards anybody, saluted the Packers basically. So now I'm thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to get on a plane? I let my station down. I let Don's station down. I let everybody down. They send you all this way to get the only thing that you would need to get from this game, which is Dez talking about the only
catch.
play that this play will be remembered for, this game will be remembered for. And I still owe Dez Bryant a malt beverage of his choice for not only talking, but talking better than he did the first time because there were fewer cameras around him, and we got to basically grill him on the play. And so sometimes you live to tell about it, but I saw my whole
It
career
was a
flash
victory.
before
it
this.
was a victory.
I saw my whole career flash before.
You know, I'm telling you, I mean, it's like
you're
you
still
can't
here.
go there. You can't go there and not get that story,
Yeah.
right? So,
Well,
That's
you
fair.
you were Ray Allen in Game 6, man. You made the 3.
man, it's fortune favor the foolish every now and then.
Well, the reason I'm asking is yesterday while we're sitting there, Jordan is a Chiefs fan, so she's already happy that they won. But while she's watching her game, she's very yippy, I guess. Like whenever Patrick's about to get his there's a lot of that going on. And so when the Broncos were
So
the
you
last
have the quad thing going on? Is that what you're
No, we have Red Zone, and then I have then whoever's game is on, we stream it on our laptop.
Okay.
So
Well, now you can watch them both on a big screen.
we can. So we're watching Red Zone, and then her game's on. The Chiefs win, as always. Not bitter about that at all. And then the Broncos game starts, and the Broncos, for some reason, played longer and later than everybody else yesterday.
Yeah.
So while they're getting their butts kicked in the second half, I'm sitting there just stewing, watching the game with one eye open. And then all the other games end, so Jordan's full attention is now on the Broncos game, and now she's yipping about the Broncos games whenever Russell Wilson's about to get sacked.
So you're okay with the yipping on the
No,
Chiefs?
I'm okay with the yipping on the Chiefs, but I'm already sitting there hating life because the Broncos just gave up an 18-point victory or an 18-point lead, and now they're down by 11. So what do you say to?
Is she yipping for you?
She's whipping for me.
Okay.
She's trying to be encouraging. What do you say
think
to
you-
what do you say to your significant other in that
Nothing.
scenario?
Nothing. Let her yip. If she's on your side, that's support, Matt.
I looked at her and I was like, "Hey, I love you and I appreciate it, but please stop."
Yeah.
Just
And
go
then-
over to the rival, be a rival's Chiefs fan. It'd be a lot easier at this point. You can always circle back and be a Bronco fan.
Broncos
later.
haven't beat the Chiefs in the entire duration of the time that Jordan and I have been together, and I don't even know what I'll do if
I'll
it
tell
ever
you
happens.
the same thing my dad told me, the same thing I've told both of my 2 sons. And this is something I 100% believe with you and Jordan. You won the wife lottery. Okay? Just
Don't mess it up.
Don't screw it up.
don't. You outkicked your coverage. Right? You're the big winner here.
I was the Hail Mary that got completed at the end
You're
of the
the
game.
big winner here, Matt. Yip away, Jordan. Yip away.
Except when the Broncos don't get the 2-point conversion, then don't yip.
Right.
Then we went on and took the dog for a walk, and I was just like stewing. I was like, "Can you hurry up and crap? Let's go." Anyway, let's get to the
It's
Roadrunners.
just football.
Yeah, it's just football. That's the best thing about fandom, though, investing everything into
Yeah.
something that ultimately means nothing, right? Let's get to the Roadrunners. Friday night, very disappointing to say the least. Coach Traylor simply said that they're not a good football team right now. What did you guys think watching that game and kind of how it turned out?
Everything that can go wrong for UTSA this year has. The schedule, the injuries, Frank not being able to go in this one. Turned out to be not too bad. Eddie Lee played his tail off, and there was
Frank wasn't the issue.
there's some signs there, boy, that they're this kid can really throw the football. They got dominated by a physically inferior team, and I just tip my cap to Army on that. That's a team that knows how to execute. These are our nation's best. These guys are going to school at West Point. They get 2 minutes to shower and wake up at 4:00 in the morning and are studying nuclear physics and stuff. These are sharp kids, and they just kick their butt. That's all that you can say, and tip your cap to them, man. UTSA's bigger, stronger, faster, and they weren't in that game.
No, they weren't.
And talk about time of possession. Army had it 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, every time you look at the screen, Army's driving. I mean, I think they had one drive that was 2 plays, 80 yards. They had a 55-yard halfback pass and then a 35-yarder after that. But every drive besides that was like 6 minutes long, converting 4th downs and like
6 for 6.
It's hard to stop someone when you know they're going to go for it on 4th down, but they have a 4th and 4 and a 4th and 2, and you're just like, you have to defend for all 4 downs.
Yeah, they were good.
Agree. I didn't watch the game. I was watching on my ticker, and when I turned on my phone, I couldn't believe they were down 17-7. I'm like, wait a second. I mean, how does this happen when they played so well defensively, I thought, against a G.J. Kinney team that just scored 70-something this weekend against Jackson State. So I think I was a little surprised by that, given what UTSA had showed defensively the first two games. And I guess in the final analysis, it's like I thought the defense was better. And then, Don was telling me that Wonder Boy from Smithson Valley got hurt in that game. And that doesn't help, because I think a lot of times you get your energy from guys like him. I mean, clearly that guy's going to be a really sought-after NFL player too. Trey Moore, we're talking about.
I was going to ask that as well. It's like you lose Frank, you lose Micah Hart, you already down JT Clark, and now you lose Trey Moore. It's like,
I mean, there's arguably
those are your four best players.
Well, yeah,
probably. Yeah. Those are four of your five best players.
Yeah,
difference makers.
It's hard to win any game without those guys, but it seems like the same story as last year, where their team is just a mash unit as you get into later on in the season.
Traylor said something this morning that, he's trying to, find the silver lining, and they'll probably get hammered at Tennessee, and then they have an off week. And the book he says starts chapter 5. Chapter 5 through 12 is going to be the meat of the book. And so you can't get too discouraged about non-conference. Now, this is easy to say when you win 12 games the last 2 years, and you're looking at a 6-loss season or whatever, 5 losses. But you can still be conference champions in the new AAC. If you're healthy and you get guys back. I think Trey Moore is going to miss another week or two. I could see him missing Tennessee in the bye week and then being back. Traylor surprised me today saying Frank is day-to-day, and then if he is 100%, he won't hold him out. I thought for sure he'd hold him out against Tennessee, use the bye week, and then go full bore for conference play. He said that he could play. He might play this week. I doubt it. JT Clark's getting closer. So what if you go into conference play at Temple in Philadelphia, 1-3,
you'd be 1-3,
1-3, and you're fully ready to go.
It's just coming off of the year that they had last year and the year before that. It's just in all the hype coming in of one last ride from Frank Harris and Jeff Traylor, all these guys coming back, and Kavorian Barnes looks good, but is now has fumble issues apparently, and it's just kind of a disappointment to see a 1-2 start when you start with not 3 cupcakes. You have a really good team in Houston that starts off, and then 2 cupcakes. I'm going to put that in air quotes. The games that you should win, and you lose one of them.
They should have beaten Army, right? They're a 10-point favorite. But that was never a gimme. That game went to overtime last year. Army and them are equal.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we've talked about repeatedly on this show, is that these games are hard to win. I don't care who you're playing. I mean, the other team gets paid. They got NIL deals. They got coaches. They get large sums of money. I mean, these games are not easy. It's easy to, it's not complex to look at a schedule and go, yes, they should win. And, it's the same problem that A&M fans fight every single week, that they should win every single game. It's like you're getting everybody's best punch every single game. Army knew that they needed to be ready for this game. Texas State knew that they needed to be ready for that game. U of H knew, based on the year before, that UTSA wasn't going to be a rollover. These games are hard to freaking win.
Yeah.
And now you're talking about attrition, which happens to every team. So who's going to be the deepest at the end? And it's every single level. I mean, at the high school level, we're seeing it already with these great players that are going down, and they're hard to replace and then replace on the fly. And then if you go back to like with A&M last year, you lost so many guys. Everybody's yelling and screaming at Jimbo, well, open up the playbook. We need a new play caller. It's like, well, if the true freshman doesn't understand the entire playbook or hasn't been coached enough because of limited amount of time that you can practice or a finite number of days that you could practice, it's hard to win football games. It's hard to open up the playbook when nobody knows what the hell the playbook is because they haven't been in the system long enough. Yeah. So again, it just goes back. Everything goes back to you're literally week to week, and then let's see how this plays out.
And I think you could take a look at UTSA's schedule 3 weeks ago and say, Houston, that's a loss. Could win it.
Game they should have won.
Could win it, but I'm going to say Houston at Houston, that's a loss. Texas State, that's a win. Army, that's a win. So now where are we? 1 game off. They're 1-2 instead of 2-1. Going to Tennessee, that's a loss. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they've lost 4 in a row to Alabama, Birmingham, and Charlotte. And I mean, let's wait and see. I still think that they have the team to turn this around. And quite honestly, if Frank can't go for a couple of weeks, I think the offense is in good hands with Eddie Lee Marburger.
ELM looked really good. Like, just giving him a couple of seconds here, ELM looked great.
ELM. You got a nickname for him.
I don't want to say Eddie Lee Marburger all the time.
Okay.
ELM looked really good.
Sounds like ELO, the Electric Light Orchestra.
Oh, wow. Now I got all kinds of bad songs bouncing through my head, and I got to have to sing one here.
I was going to say, speaking of bad songs. No, I'm just kidding. Not a bad song.
No, he's got a rocket for a right arm. Showing why he passed for 8,000 yards in high school. He can play.
Last thing regarding...
And Devin McEwen, freshman wide receiver, speedster out of Jacksonville.
Oh, Ogle Kellogg also showing out on Friday.
Tyke.
Yeah, Tyke Ogle Kellogg showing out as well. Can we come up with a TOK? TOK for him?
Yeah.
Give an abbreviation. ELM to TOK.
And I keep saying, I mean, I know we all thought that Cephas was a pro, but Cephas is really a pro.
Yeah.
Cephas is really good.
Yeah.
It was a 60 or 44 yarder that he took to the house.
It's his separation. Like when he runs routes, he's always really wide open. Like it's never just a little wide open. He seems like it's all you can eat for him all the time.
Yeah, and I think we all agree that I think it's a 13.5 point spread against Tennessee. I think Tennessee's going to just kill them, especially coming off a loss to Florida.
I saw that spread, and I got to tell you, I was going to bet Tennessee and give the points.
14, I think 14's being really nice. I think
that should be like that spread.
That should be 20.
And maybe
that should be
they'll
20 and a
surprise
half.
you based on their performance on Friday night. Again, short week. There's a lot goes into it. You're banged up, and you got the short week. I know I'm making excuses for them, but maybe they'll surprise us Saturday at Tennessee. I know that was one on the schedule that they were all thinking about. You know, maybe not looking ahead, but clearly there's certain games on the calendar that you mark.
And there's only one place that has more people than Rocky Top. That's Big House in Michigan.
Yep.
There's going to be 103,000, 104,000 people there.
I mean, we saw one Texas team go into a hostile environment and win with 103,000 people last week.
And last year, last year, UTSA was just like Wyoming last week against Texas. They went into Austin and were in the game going into the fourth quarter. So all those guys come back. Rocky Top will not be intimidating. You know, I don't think, Tennessee, though, is coming off a loss that they're not happy about. You don't want to ever see that.
No, they got their butts kicked by Florida, and Florida's not a great football team this year.
Lots of incentive, too, for guys that think they're pros, because the scouts will say, what did you do when you had Tennessee
when you're
on
playing
your
against
schedule?
the
And those
SEC.
guys know that.
Yeah. So let's get out of here with a wager being paid off. Churchill losing or beating Madison by 1 point in overtime last Monday. You guys were off the pod on Wednesday and Friday, so here we are. I wrote the lyrics down for you as well.
You know what? That was big league of you, because
which one? The fight song or the school song?
Churchill fight song.
Yeah, I don't
That's
even.
Go You Chargers, take it all the way.
Fight you Chargers is what they have on the
Okay,
website.
down the field, another win today?
Got it for you on the rundown.
I'm not looking. If you fail, we'll lend a helping hand.
Oh, here we go.
This has nothing to do with your fight song, by the way. But I figured, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it my way. So we're going to do a little spoken word, Don Harris.
I love it.
Okay. Fight, you Chargers. Take it all the way. Round the end. Another win today. If you should fall, we will lend a helping hand. Red, black, white, the greatest
In the land.
land. We're behind you all the way tonight. Victory will shine. We're gonna go fight.
Win, Chargers.
Oh, it's varsity. Oh, you're messing me up. Oh, no, I just dropped the word.
We'll
The
edit.
worst. Okay. Let's just do it again.
We're
Let's
going to
just
go
do it
fight win
again.
varsity.
It is, well, according to Matthew.
Okay.
You think I know the Churchill fight song? The only thing
I
I
just
know
copy and
about that
pasted
is,
from the website,
We're
guys.
gonna go
Winston
fight,
Churchill,
win.
upon your grave we spit. Because
the-
that's what we used to say at Madison. Okay.
That's a school song.
Oh God,
Did I do enough?
Yeah, I
I said
think
I was
you're
going
good.
to just do one bar.
I-
so
that was great. That was so
Big
much.
time,
that
big
was so
time,
much
big
more
time.
than I expected, and more. That should just be our song from now on. Just have this behind us at all times.
That's good for my blood pressure. I
Right.
like that tune. I like
jazz
that.
music, royalty-free background, cafe music, jazz, no copyright, Creative Commons music. Thank you.
Is that the one you didn't cover on that one package that
I
we
like that.
ran at the beginning?
Are you saying that I get to be fairly redundant with my use of music on my stories, Matthew T.
No.
Roy?
No, never.
Okay.
Whatever's already in interplay gets used.
Yes and yes.
All right, guys. Well, I can't imagine ending on a better note than that. So that's all we got for today. Heck of a weekend for Texas football teams. We'll be back on Wednesday for the High School Hype Squad. Break down the Week 5 slate of the high school football. Preview the TNL matchup between Sam Houston and Edison. Remember, you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, which is better now because we have video. You can see how hard we were all just laughing at the I lost my spot. Please download, rate, review, subscribe. Give us a 5-star
Wherever you
rating.
get your podcasts.
Yes, exactly. And on YouTube. Give us some feedback. Thank you all for tuning in today. If you have any suggestions about what you want to see, how to make the show better, let us know. For now, we will see you here on Wednesday on the Sneakers and Cleats podcast.
That was funny.
That was so good. That was so much better than what I had expected.